I'm Kaye and I'm a late bloomer. Today I am in East Tennessee with Scott and Mary, who are transforming from the corporate life to the farm life on their piece of paradise called Land Haven. After retiring from the corporate life, Scott and Mary moved back to the 140-acre tree farm that's been in her family for 5 generations. They share the property with her mother, who lives in their original house across the pond. Hey, Bandit! Oh yeah, he's posing. After breakfast on a cold, gray, windy day, we went down to the barn. Land Haven is a registered century farm, one that has been in continuous agricultural production for 100 years. I asked Mary how the move had changed her life.
It's been a total change in all ways.
Yeah.
You know, just from the clothes that I wear, to the food I eat, to the life of daily things that I do. This is where I do my canning in the summer. And I canned my pickles, my apple butter, and my applesauce. I also canned 32 quarts of green beans and 30 quarts of tomatoes, all of which are already gone. And across the hill, I get my eggs from my next door neighbor, who's been my kind of teacher on how to do the sustainable living. I'm a goal-oriented person, and one of my goals in retirement has been to try to live much more sustainably and to try to grow our own food, because I believe it's healthier for us. And I know that where all of my food comes from whenever I'm the one who's responsible for it.
Too bad we don't have any of those green beans.
Yes, you would love them.
So you made this from scratch for me?
Yeah.
And this is my favorite, which happens to be pecan pie.
I didn't know that.
You didn't even know that. And you made the crust, I see.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to have to try this. Because... Oh, that is so good. In addition to canning, growing food, and crafting, Mary composts, captures rain, and makes her own detergent. So that's your craft shop?
Yes, this is my craft area. This is where I do a lot of my crafting. This is a marble that is off of the farm. My dad found it. We believe that it was made by the Indians. And we're going to give this to my grandson when he gets his driver's license next month.
For his keys.
Right.
Which he better not lose it.
That's right. I like to make things for my family that have sentimental value, and especially with things that come off the farm.
So I see a lot of wood here. How much of your heat is produced by wood?
Probably about 1/4.
And is all that wood from your property?
Yes.
That makes it convenient to have a tree farm, right?
Yes, exactly. And that was just what was left over from the cutting that they did whenever they harvested this year.
Scott and Mary share the cap ends of harvested trees, what can't be used for lumber, with 84-year-old J.W. Thurman, who splits it and makes his living from the firewood.
We harvest the hardwood trees, the larger ones. We take those first, and those come out about every 10 to 17 years. And then the paperwood, which is the pine trees, those can come out more frequently, about every 5 to 7 years.
So in between all that, everything just stays quiet around here?
Just stays quiet and grows. And we always leave enough trees to reseed the others. It's really pretty special to, be the 5th generation to own and to live on a farm. This farm has been in my family for 5 generations, since 1825.
Was it a tree farm back then?
No, it was actually an agricultural farm in the beginning.
And when did you start harvesting trees?
That was about 60 years ago.
Okay.
That was pretty much in my dad's, under his, care of the farm and everything, that we started harvesting the trees. As a matter of fact, the trees paid for my college. As a child, I remember setting out pine trees. We got little penny pines, and we used to set the little trees out.
Was it mostly pine trees that were harvested?
No, not always.
Because I see a lot of
Yeah, it was, but
Mix.
that was the kind that we planted to kind of reforest.
Right.
And because they grew faster.
Right. The cold wind of late March was freezing, so we hopped in the car to warm up. Scott drove and Mary was our tour guide.
My uncle ran this as a store back in the late 30s, early 40s.
It's all stone. It's very cool. I told Scott I'd love to get a view of the area from the fire tower, but we had a little difficulty finding the road. When we finally found it, we were met with an unwelcome sign. We decided to hightail it out of there when a pack of pit bulls and chihuahuas came barking. We settled for a long-range view of the fire tower. So what's this, about a couple of miles from your house?
About 5.
Oh, okay. You live in some pretty country.
We feel like we're in a pretty protected little enclave here.
Mary and Scott lived in an on-site trailer for 2 years while they built their home, a model of sustainability.
This is the geothermal unit. This here is the heat exchanger. And we have underground line that's about 700 feet that goes down 12 to 15 feet into the earth. And in the wintertime, it brings in heat from the earth. In the summer, it brings in the cool of the earth.
Wow. The pipes are 15 feet underground?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they come into right here, and they get pumped through the heat exchanger.
So nothing can happen to them 15 feet down?
No. Did Mary tell you what our electric bills are?
Yeah, it's like what, 120?
150 has been our highest, I think.
And that's air conditioning and heating?
Yeah.
Wow. They also have solar power. This inverter and bank of batteries are fed by 8 solar panels on the roof's southern exposure, with room for 64. It's an on and off grid system, which is fairly unique, Scott said. The power generated by the 8 panels powers certain critical circuits in the house.
The rest that we don't use on those circuits is sold back to the power company.
That's great. And once again, we have Bandit laying on my leg. Hey, Bandit. Bandit. Hey, Bandit. They built a fortress for their main vegetable garden to protect from deer and wild boar. The dogs deter what the fence doesn't keep out, like moles and gophers. The dogs also rustle up sticks from the forest, which they use for kindling. And you said you had clover in here before the snow came?
Yeah.
Quick-growing fall crops like clover and buckwheat rebuild nitrogen after the intense growing season.
And this is where my herb bed is going to be.
Now, how are you going to keep the deer off that?
Well, I hope the dogs will do their job and keep them away. They've done a pretty good job so far.
And this is Lacey. Lacey, are you going to
Keep the deer away.
Oh, but...
Our border collie has no one to blame for this extra dog other than herself because she herded him all the way home.
As a puppy?
As a puppy, all the way from the barn to our home. This bed is planted already. We have the butter crunch lettuce, we have carrots, we have red onions, we have leeks on the other half of the bed, and we have yellow onions here, and we have shallots at the end. And over here we've got our potatoes, which we've already planted.
Well, the great thing is, if you want to expand your vegetable growing, you've got plenty of space to do it.
Oh yeah.
All right, you're putting me to work.
Yep.
Okay. So you put the straw, did you put straw all over the strawberries just to keep them alive?
Mm-hmm. Keep them warm through the winter.
Might want to pull out the weeds. Where
Right.
do you put the weeds? Right here. Fine. And you say this whole thing's going to fill in with strawberries?
Yep. It'll be all filled in and we'll have strawberries galore by June.
Wish I had a strawberry bed this big.
And I made quite a bit of jam. I did freezer jam and I also canned quite a bit last year. And then for my grandchildren, I made fruit leather by dehydrating.
This whole gardening thing is new for you because you're a corporate gal.
Yes. Didn't even cook my own meals while I was in the corporate world. I microwaved everything, or we went out to eat.
So this is a huge transition.
Very, very big change, and we're still in the learning process. We learn something new every day, and it just seems like the right thing to do.
Especially if it's been in your family for 5 generations.
Exactly.
And you're setting an example, getting it all in shape for your son.
Right.
So all he has to do is just move in here.
Right. Well, but the interesting thing is that I love teaching my granddaughter. She loves picking strawberries with me, and she helped me plant the potatoes. And, it's teaching that younger generation about growing their own food and getting back to the land.
Are you trying to live more sustainably? Please let me know. I'm Kaye, I'm a late bloomer. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
This farm has been in my family for 5 generations, since 1825.
Wow.
And
I'm a goal-oriented person.
yes, okay. I'm a goal-oriented person.
Start again?
Okay.
I can't do it with you standing there.
All right, knock it off, Mr. Cameraman. Okay, are we done?